I want to welcome all of our new faculty here this morning. I want to welcome our returning faculty, and I even want to welcome those faculty who never really left during the summer, but took Sunday off yesterday. So welcome back to Francis Marion. I do have to tell you, I think this is going to be an interesting year this year in a lot of ways. And let's just begin with national politics. It's the political campaigns are as catastrophic as ever. I think over the next 3 months, we're going to watch a very brutal presidential campaign. And while the stakes are substantial for all Americans in this campaign, for those of us in the academy, concerns pertaining to tuition ceilings, student debt, student financial assistance, federally guaranteed loans, accreditation standards, and dozens of other issues are at risk. And not just through the campaign itself, but in the aftermath as a new president tries to move and our Congress into action across a variety of different policy fronts. It's going to be a very, very difficult year to get things done. I think most of us understand that. Of course, by contrast, our own state's experience has been, well, no less bizarre. We've just come through an acrimonious primary process in which a portion of the state's leadership has attempted to defeat another portion of the state's leadership, all within the same party, while the rest of us stand around befuddled. So it's reasonable to assume our political leadership of whatever persuasion won't be clutching one another's hands and skipping down the yellow brick road this year. This will be a year spent in realigning coalitions. It'll be a year spent forging new alliances and probably from the state perspective, developing new priorities. This environment may be a political scientist's dream, but I got to tell you, it's a college president's nightmare. Meanwhile, back here at the ranch, things are going well. Let's extend congratulations to a few of our colleagues on their accomplishments during late spring and during the summer. Lynn Hansen for her second consecutive appointment as a Lightsey Research Fellow at Hobcall Barony. Wendy Caldwell for her presentation and participation in Bread Loaf Writers Conference in Vermont. Deborah Hopla for being the recipient of the Health Policy Award by the National Organization of Nurse Practitioner Faculties. Chris Johnson for completion of his book manuscript entitled Sarah Fielding, A Political Biography. Chris isn't here this morning, so I'll say this close, just this close. Will Bolt for the completion of his book manuscript entitled Tariff Wars and the Politics of Jacksonian America. Scott Kaufman for the completion of his book manuscript titled Power, Pragmatism, and Party, The Life of Gerald R. Ford. Jennifer Kunka for the completion of her latest edition of the text entitled The Writer's FAQ. Jeanette Myers for an entire summer spent getting our planetarium just perfect. Tahari and Ken and all the computer science faculty for a summer spent assessing the academic support needed to recruit and sustain more computer science majors more effectively. To Jennifer Lyles, Lori Turner, Shana Wrighton, for their $137,000 NIH Embry grant, which funded both faculty research and student stipends over the summer. Ruth Whitman Price and the School of Health Science faculty for the 2 Health Science Resource Service Administration grants that will provide more than $2 million in scholarships and loans for needy graduate nursing students who wouldn't be able to afford graduate nursing programs without that support. To Karen Gettings and the nursing faculty for achieving distinction as the National League of Nursing Center of Excellence. Only the second program in South Carolina to be honored. The only other program is Clemson, and this has driven them absolutely crazy. God love it. To Carolyn Pageant and Keith Best for offering our first international course in collaboration with the European Academy. To Travis Knowles, Jeff Steinmetz, and Paul Ziers for an NSF planning grant that allowed a number of our biology faculty to pursue research, and I understand many, many other activities in Ecuador this past May. Are there slides we can show later? To John Tuttle for his planning efforts this summer to bring the Vietnam Memorial Traveling Wall to our campus this coming October. To Becky Flanagan, Charlene Wages, Pam Rooks, and Teresa Ramey for their planning efforts this summer to host a statewide Title IX conference here at FMU in September. And to the dozen other faculty members who have published articles or presented papers in regional, national, international conferences during the course of the summer and spring, our compliments to each and every one of you. So, you may have also noticed that we have a new provost this year, Peter. Peter's done a wonderful job assuming myriad of responsibilities, organizing his staff this summer, and getting the academic year started. So thank you, Peter, and Alyssa, and Chris for all the hard work you put in this summer getting the provost's office moving. And to the chair of our faculty. You know, this is Becky's 5th year, and she tells me this is her last year as chair of the faculty. I want to thank her professionally, and I want to thank her personally for her energy, her enthusiasm, and her initiative in accomplishing so many things for this university over the past years. She has served this faculty well, and she's been a very, very collaborative friend and partner with me in this administration and with our Board of Trustees. In appreciation of this service, the university will award Becky an honorary degree in spring semester, and she will be our commencement speaker in May. Let me just say this for a second. Rich Chapman always used to have this great line that said, "If you could just give me the degree without making me do the speech." So I think I heard a little groan over here, but I'm sure it was a groan of absolute delight. Let me take a second and thank Jay Kispert, Ralph Davis, Mike Ritchie, Pat Boswell, and the 70 or so custodians, maintenance, and grounds crew workers who have labored so hard to get this campus ready for fall. Everybody in this room knows they do a wonderful job, and we're deeply appreciative of it. Let's give them a... All right, that's the good stuff. Now let's talk about money. The General Assembly did treat us very well in the appropriation process this past session. We received $925,000 in recurring money. $575,000 of that was for the speech pathology program, and we did get our $350,000 for our advisement initiative. We also received $700,000 as the first installment on the $3.1 million Honors Center that we hope to build, the future home of the Honors Program, the McNair Center, and the international programs. We'll request more funding for this building this session, but in the interim, we'll go ahead and start the architectural and engineering work on this honors complex. I think we can see this thing finished by 2020, maybe by as early as 2019 if we start the architectural work now. We will also renovate the art gallery in the Hyman Fine Arts Center this year. And while we're there, we'll do some revitalization work on the Casab Recital Hall. These are two very, very important facilities on this campus. We need to restore the luster they once had by putting some money, time, and effort into those facilities. Development of speech pathology program is proceeding well. We've been hiring faculty this year and next. Then we'll recruit students, frame our initial program applications, and we should begin the program formally in 2018. That program right now will either be housed in the nursing program here on campus or the health sciences complex downtown, wherever the bulk of the room is for at least those first group of students and that first group of faculty. Now let me talk briefly about this advising initiative. You know, our graduation retention task force worked diligently last year to develop a number of recommendations for increasing freshman retention and for increasing our graduation rates overall. Most of these recommendations focused, as they should have, on strengthening advisement and academic support processes for new freshmen and continuing students who still struggled with academic difficulties. This summer, the provost and I have had the privilege to meet frequently with the task force. Together, we've conceptualized a new Center for Academic Success and Advisement, CASA. It will be funded by the money appropriated by the General Assembly, and it will be directed by Jennifer Kunka, who will serve as an associate provost for the university. This entity will be structured as a part of the provost's office and will pull together all the services of the Writing Center, the Tutoring Center, and the Math Lab under a common rubric to assist those students on this campus most at risk academically. There's another aspect to this. We will raise the stipend for faculty teaching university life courses from $833 a semester per course to $1,200 per course. We're doing this for two reasons. We want our very best faculty teaching these courses, and we want to enhance the opportunity to use those courses as yet another viable advisement tool. Yes, it's still just a 1-hour course, but it's yet another opportunity to identify freshmen who are in trouble academically or heading into trouble early enough that we can intervene and give them some support. You know, we all know that it will take a couple of years to roll out this CASA plan thoroughly. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take some give and take with regard to who will advise whom, with regard to what level in the matriculation through the university. But ultimately, this center will provide advising and academic remediation, yes, academic remediation, for those students on this campus most in need of support. It will also provide more extensive career development support for all of our students, not simply those at risk. I believe that the provost and Jennifer will schedule a briefing session in the next few weeks to provide you with more details on this exciting initiative and on its timetable for its implementation. You're going to like what you see. It's thoughtful, it's reflective. It'll start well, but it'll get better and better as 250 faculty on this campus give us better ideas about how to make things work. And my compliments to the Retention Task Force for all their hard work. Oh yeah. And to the General Assembly for their hard cash. We couldn't have done it without them. On a related issue, for decades, the Baruch Institute, the Baruch Foundation, Hobcall Barony, just north of Georgetown, has provided opportunities for research in marine biology and forestry. Many of our faculty, many of our natural science faculty have taken advantage of those opportunities. Although all state universities have been able to participate in this program, the formal agreement has always been structured through the University of South Carolina in Clemson. The past few years, we've been working with the Baruch Foundation to broaden the research opportunities into the humanities and social sciences. After all, Hobcaw contains a treasure trove of materials dealing with the New Deal, World War II, and Baruch and Bernard and Belle Baruch's life in international affairs and finance, national politics, and even low-country culture. Lynn Hansen has spent the last 2 summers at Hobcaw on Lightsey Fellowships collecting and archiving materials. While these new research opportunities will be open to all public universities, the formal agreement with the Baruch Foundation for this area of study will be structured through a partnership with Francis Marion and Coastal Carolina University. We'll be the host universities, as are Carolina and Clemson in the natural sciences, and our faculties will have the first priority at developing the research opportunities. I believe that Chris Kennedy and Lynn will arrange a faculty briefing session on the opportunities at Hobcaw once the formal agreement has been finalized between the 3 participants and the Commission on Higher Education. I expect that to occur in mid-fall. By the way, this seems to be the appropriate point to remind you that over the past 4 years, we have been incrementally increasing the number of university sabbaticals from 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 per year. Hobcaw is a distinctive site for a sabbatical research, be it in the natural sciences or the humanities, social sciences, or the behavioral sciences. Just think about it when you plan your sabbatical research down the road. It's a site worth considering. It's an opportunity worth exploring. Let me move on to other financial issues. The provost and I have asked the deans and chairs for recommendations on compression pay adjustments again this year. We have budgeted this year $100,000 in recurring funding for compression pay adjustments, about triple what we've done in previous years. We get those recommendations from deans and chairs. We'll try to have those adjustments in place by October 1st. I believe this amount of money is large enough to be able to give us a viable and comprehensive compensation spread within each of the ranks and disciplines on campus. I'm very, very optimistic about this. This doesn't mean everybody gets a raise. What it does mean is that everybody's salary gets looked at very, very carefully, and we try to break out some of that compression at lower levels of rank structures within disciplines. We'll increase faculty professional development funding and real program funding by 10% this year. We'll increase those accounts. We'll increase faculty professional development funding. We'll take that account up to $396,000 a year. We'll increase real funding up to $303,000 a year. Now, a couple of years ago, we created 12 summer research stipends targeted primarily for tenure track but untenured faculty. They've been very, very popular. I believe that this initiative has been so successful that we'll add 6 additional stipends this year, but with one variation. 2 of these new awards will be set aside for tenure track, but untenured faculty as is current practice, giving them a total of 14. The other 4 summer stipends will be set aside for tenured faculty. I think it's time to give the old-timers a little research support in the summer, too. And we'll try to add to those amounts as we go down the road. I also want to remind you about our Faculty International Orientation program that we implemented last year, designed specifically for those who'd never had the opportunity to visit any of our exchange programs abroad. 4 faculty will be selected again this year to visit some of our sister institutions during spring break and learn more about those host countries. If you want to participate, please contact Mark Blackwell, Will Daniel, David White. Mark will design an itinerary to make that week in Europe as productive as possible, and Mark and Will and David will select the participants in the program, maybe subject to the oversight of the provost. The doctorate in nursing practice. It's time. Feasibility study's been completed. Coastal Carolina and the College of Charleston are committed to join with us in advancing legislation that would permit doctoral programs for each of our 3 institutions, different doctoral programs based upon strength of 3 campuses. Since existing law prohibits comprehensive universities, schools like ours, from offering doctoral programs, we'll have to amend the law. So I will ask that the provost, the chair of the faculty, and the chair of the Academic Affairs Committee present this initiative to the Academic Affairs Committee, the Senate, and the faculty this fall. If the faculty approves the program, we'll take it to the trustees, begin pursuing statutory change in the spring. With a little bit of luck, we can actually put our first doctoral program in nursing in place by the fall of 2018. But pause here for a second. Why is that so critically important? My nurses could tell me in a second. Because increasingly the working terminal degree for nurse practitioners within the next degree will not be the master's, it'll be the doctoral degree. In order to stay abreast with that currency and credentialization, we need to move to that level with that level of instruction. Recreation therapy. I understand there's a strong interest among a number of departments for exploring a multidisciplinary baccalaureate degree in recreation therapy. Such a curriculum would involve the fine arts, the humanities, social and behavioral sciences, psychology, nursing, biology, and would be based in the health sciences. One major advantage of this program would be comprised largely of existing courses structured around a core of therapeutic offerings. I'll ask the Dean of Health Sciences to bring the various deans and chairs together to determine whether or not there's enough interest to proceed with a feasibility study. One last programmatic comment. After an extensive discussion one morning with Dr. Kaufman and Dr. Kennedy and Dr. King and Dr. Venters, or public historians, we've decided this year to authorize the hiring of an archaeologist within the history department. As most of you know, we live in an area rich in colonial, antebellum, and postbellum history. It's time for this university to play more of a part in its exploration, excavation, and preservation. There's a fair amount of private money out there to help us with this venture. South Carolina Department of Natural Resources will be a supportive and accommodating partner, and I think we'll have very, very strong student interest in each of these areas. I also think we'll have some strong state interest in helping us fund some of these initiatives. Accreditation. Our state accreditation reaffirmation report's due in about 14 months. Site visit will be scheduled for spring of 2018. Rusty Ward, Charlene, Peter, and Becky have all done a good job of pulling this process together, and the preparation of the report, the QEP, and the other attendant obligations are well underway. If you would like to be actively involved in this effort, please see Rusty. I have a note here that says, pause for raucous laughter. But we love you anyway, Rusty. The Dean of Liberal Arts. When the faculty passed a new constitution and bylaws 15 years ago, The provost was given a new role, a dual role, as provost of the university and as dean of the College of Liberal Arts. Liberal arts faculty subsequently incorporated this dual role in the passage of its own bylaws. During the provost search process this past year, the committee asked if there would be a willingness to separate those two roles. I responded that that would be the decision of the College of Liberal Arts, but let's get a provost in place first. Well, we have. And at the first meeting of the College of Liberal Arts in fall, Dr. King will ask the college its preference about separating the positions. If the liberal arts faculty chooses to do so and amends its bylaws accordingly, the provost and the faculty may begin a search for a dean of the College of Liberal Arts. Now, 40 years ago, I walked into a classroom to teach my very first university course. 4 decades. Many things about this profession have changed since then. But you know one thing that hasn't changed? The power of a faculty. Look around you this morning. Look at the 250 people in this room. Very few of us can heal the sick. Very few of us can build manufacturing plants, save struggling businesses, run governmental agencies, keep nuclear power plants safe, write award-winning poems or novels, teach a class of 4K kids to read. But every year, those of us in this room, 250 of us, work together to produce graduates who can do these things extraordinarily well. That's the uniqueness of our profession. That's the power of a faculty. We can see the collective efforts of our labor through the work of our graduates every single day. And those works are phenomenal. So, 40 years ago, I kind of sensed that there was something grand and great, and maybe even a little mystical about this higher ed project. I feel even more strongly today. I hope that you do too. Please know how much pride I take in what you do. You make an enormous difference in the lives of those that you educate, and you make even more of a difference in the lives of those who benefit from that education. Thank you very much.